Hello and welcome to REIGNfall, our series on the world of written fiction, where anything and everything is fair game, but you're probably just going to get sci-fi and fantasy because those genres are where it's at. This week, we're talking about books that we don't like at all. And so we're going to have a discussion on that real quick and give you some examples of where not to go and what not to do. I'm Josh Preston.
And I'm John Keel, and there are certain books that I hate.
No, you've lost that loving feeling, Johnny. Oh, baby, you've lost that loving
Pretty
feeling.
sure I hate them.
Well, okay. Then what books got you so riled up that you would actually, say that there's a bad book, which I guess there are some out there.
Let me think for a minute. The Diablo series by Richard Knack. I hate it.
Richard Knack, the hack.
No
I forgot about him.
Woo! No plot, terrible character development, and plot points that meant nothing at the end of the story.
It was actually worse than some of the worst young adult fiction. Not to be a hater, but YA doesn't exactly have longevity, and so this was worse, and that's saying something. So bring the hate mail. I did try a book that you didn't, since we'll segue into another bad book, and it is about young adult fiction. It's a classic spin on Cinderella in space. It's called Cinder by Marissa Meyer. And yes, I'm confessing that I read it. It's a young adult novel, and it was garbage. It was filled with teen emotions and meandering plots, and I was like, wow, this is really bad. Didn't even bother writing a review on it. It doesn't exist on my TBR. But I guess I just made a confession, so it kind of does exist now. Kind of.
It's like, whatever, man. It's cool. That's cool. Another book that we read together for the project was called Leviathan by Scott Westerfeld. But you know what, though? That book had a lot of potential, and there was a lot about that book that I really enjoyed. It was wholly unique. Well, maybe not wholly unique. It was a cool story, had some unique factors to it, but at the end of it, I just said, no, I don't want to read anymore. I fell out of love with whatever I did love about it, because basically, you got, Harry Potter and Hermione Granger, or their equivalent in this story, who are just running around. And it's one thing when you're being insubordinate, not following the rules at a magic school, because it's all just, fun and games till someone gets hurt. But they were in a military environment, and this complete insubordination from the one character, and how all the officers and everyone just like, oh, well, she saved the day, so it's okay that she, no. Wouldn't have happened that way. She'd have been shot and tossed off the edge in mid-flight, and it was just too much nonsense for me, so I fell out of love with it. But there was a lot of good about it, too.
Gosh, you just summed up, I guess, the potential it did have. I was game to keep going with it, but the fact that it wasn't a complete story, sure, books end on cliffhangers, but this one was literally ending in the middle of the action climax at the end, and it seemed just like an incomplete story. It's not like Star Wars A New Hope. Of course, they blew up the Death Star, and it's a huge victory. This was just kind of like, you're just getting started. It felt like the book ended in the middle. So, lost the love and feeling definitely on that one. And what actually, I guess, initiated this whole topic was the fact that we're reading Stephen King's The Dark Tower series, and it is so incredibly deep. I mean, it really brings you into the world. It feels real to the degree where you know these characters better than some of your friends maybe, because you hear their inner thoughts, you hear their struggles, and it's amazing. And so we start comparing this to other stuff we've read, and we're like, this other stuff is not so amazing. I'm not going to name names.
Well, I will, because that's what I'm known for, apparently. So what we're really referring to is that we have been reading the Wheel of Time series. Now, we stopped that so we could pick up Stephen King's The Dark Tower series, and although it's not quite as long, good grief,
it's only half as long.
It is more unique. There's nothing formulaic about those books at all. Where I started to fall out of love with the Wheel of Time was because we've only read the first 3 books. We haven't read the 4th one, I don't think. Yeah, it's just the first 3. And
I got pretty long.
Those first 3 books, it just felt completely repetitious, where you had stuff that would happen right? You have some action. The party inevitably gets separated. Some of them may rejoin, and there's a big, huge battle at the end, and Rand is victorious. And it happened, I swear, the same way in the first 3 books, all 3 times. And I remember when we read the 3rd one, and I thought, well, surely it's going to be different in this one. We can't have the same formula.
Surely.
But yet it was the same formula, and I don't know if it gets better later on. And I'm not abandoning that series, but good grief.
Well,
you compare that to what we've been reading in The Dark Tower, and it's just the same thing over and over. And it makes me fall a little bit out of love with it, or a lot.
When you say it like that, like it's the same story told just a little bit differently, well then heck, why are we reading it? You were right. I forgot that he fights the evil Shadow Death Lord person, whatever his name is, because he has 5 names. Voldemort. Yes, that one. No, it's
not. I have to joke. It wasn't Voldemort.
Balmazan.
Yes, Balmazan. Balzamon.
That guy, devil.
See what I'm saying?
So he fights
Fell out of love.
He fights him 3 times, and I'm like, whoa, time out. Wait a minute. How'd you do this? You're like a kid that's still green behind the ear or wet behind the ears, and you just came out of your little village. So anyway, yeah, you got repetitious. What's the other one? Halo. Halo is a great video game. Halo was a pretty good action book. I liked it all the way through. I thought the tone and the what audience it was going for was a little inconsistent. We're talking like a lot of like really harsh language and then a lot of kind of light action. It seemed like it was going from mature to young to mature. That's what I'm trying to say. But where I really have issue is the fact that they made a CGI movie out of it, and they only did half the book. The best part of the book is when Captain Keyes does his naval warfare against a superior alien enemy. I mean, it's just like Master and Commander. It's the best of naval warfare in outer space, and it was awesome. So when I was watching the free movie on Netflix, which we're not really talking about, but the point is I was mad. It cut off halfway. I'm pretty sure they didn't produce one single, film frame after that because I couldn't find it anywhere. So I was like, this is insane. So that kind of soured me on doing any more Halo, just because I like the mythology. I like the mythology a lot, but yeah, I just have to be picky about where we go next. I would like to continue that and move forward with that tentatively.
No, I actually enjoyed the Halo story. I just liked it for what it was. It was pretty simple, great action, cool strategy. It was enjoyable, a completely formulaic kind of story, I guess. I mean, I haven't read any of the others, so can I really call it a formula? I don't know, but I enjoyed it. You didn't.
No, I did. I told you, great story. I just got soured on the fact that the movie screen version was garbage.
Go back and listen to our podcast on that book. You didn't enjoy it so much.
Oh,
I remember.
Am I changing my story? So are we saving the best for last? I think there was one more. No, we scratched this off the list, but I'm still going to trash them. We're actually tentative and kind of scared to actually do anything John Scalzi has written since we started with Red Shirts and completely hated it. He's done, Old Man's War, which is supposed to be really good, but Red Shirts was supposed to be really good. So there you go.
Yeah, Red Shirts was, to me, a complete flop. And I understand it won some awards, but the concept, I don't like that kind of concept where somebody finds out they're in a book and all this other stuff.
Spoiler.
If you're going to do that, whatever. I don't care if I spoiled that for anybody. If you're going to do that, you've got to be as highbrow as you can, I think, right? There needs to be some bigger meaning to it, not just – it just felt so nonsensical. I decided it was just throwaway reading for me. Yes, I offended people. Sorry, everyone that likes the book. It didn't resonate with me. So, I think it's easy to fall out of love with certain series. And I think there are series – when I first read, like, say, going back to The Wheel of Time, when I first read – the first book of The Wheel of Time, I was a teenager. That was years ago, and I remember I loved it. And I really enjoyed reading it again when we came back to the project. But like I said, when we got into the second book and then the third book, and I started to realize this feels like the same thing over and over, just with different events in between. That's what made me fall out of love. And it's too bad because some series, I think the authors put a lot of sweat and tears and who knows, maybe some blood into it. And, it just doesn't resonate with me, but to each his own.
Yeah, his characters put a lot of blood into it. It's same with Halo. Same thing that Halo suffers from, I guess. It seems inconsistent in tone. You mentioned Harry Potter even. The kid grows up, the books get darker, but with the Wheel of Time series, it's dealing with a young set of kids with coming of age story, but it's still very dark from the outset. And I'm just kind of like not believing their successes and a suspension of disbelief with these kids who are fighting an ancient evil. They succeed from the very beginning. So maybe if I had this nice little sit down session with a therapist, I can kind of pinpoint my my issue with it. I'm like, is it going to get better? Is it worth going on if it can't really make me believe that these guys are the heroes for this age of whatever age they're in? Because Wheel of Time goes round and round, different ages.
I mean, we're 3 books into it, and parents still can't figure out how to talk to girls. I mean, how are you going to be my hero in this story, bro? But you said something interesting. You are my therapist, Josh, because we are pinpointing this. I did mention Harry Potter, cracking some jokes. But see, the thing is, Harry Potter is written for children. It's written for young adults, and for that kind of those books and even the movies, yes, to be formulaic, which they sort of are.
Have you read the book? Stop. Have you read the book?
I've never read the book.
I'm on Goblet of Fire, and they're not formulaic. So
I have. Well, you're not letting me finish my point either. You're not letting me finish my point. I have only ever watched the movies. I've never read the books. The movies weren't enough for me. I didn't feel the need to pursue the books. However, I'm fine with that. It's written for younger people, and younger people are processing things a little differently. You put the Wheel of Time in front of me, and it's got that same feeling to it, where it's just like, the same storyline over and over and over, right? We're supposed to be writing for adults now, not younger people who are processing things a little differently, maybe not taking in as much at once in a story. So that's where I start drawing a line. Even the Leviathan series, I could go back and probably read the second book, because it is what it is. It was young adult fiction. It's not meant to be a Dark Tower level kind of thing. But I always looked at the Wheel of Time as, that's supposed to be higher level. It's written probably more for adults. So there's some distinction there as to why I'm accepting some things and not others.
You know what? It's weird. I just trashed Wheel of Time for him fighting the Dark Lord from Book 1. But Harry Potter kind of fights the Dark Lord from Book 1. So I'm going to have to go back and write a essay on why one works and why one doesn't work. And then we're going to get you to read Harry Potter. Yes, I'm going to sit here and read it to you for your bedtime story, John. So we're going to conclude the show, and now we're going to go read. But thanks for joining us on REIGNfall, our series where we talk about the world of written fiction, any type of topic, anything's fair game. Send us your comments, send us your suggestions on topics that you're interested in. Tell us what's going on in the written world that we should know about, that we might not know about. We'd love to hear from you. This is Reign of Books, as in the rule of books, not the weather. I'm Josh.
Oh, I'm John Keel, and I didn't read Harry Potter.
We'll catch you next time.